Hello, and a very warm welcome to another of my positive aging videos. Now, I've been thinking a lot about grief, and I think the main reason for that is that there seems to be a feeling of grief in the air amongst some people that I know, people that have lost somebody, people who are single through divorce or widowhood. Um, there's also a sense of grief, I think, with people who perhaps aren't working as much as they used to. So there can be all sorts of reasons for feeling this sort of low mood that is associated with loss. But I think that a particular reason, actually, at this time of year is that things sort of close down again, don't they? Now, we were closed down rather a lot through the various lockdowns, and then we've had a sample of what it is to get back to something near normality. And as the evenings draw in, I think that we begin to think, oh, well, that's it. And particularly if you live on your own, you might not really want to drive at night, and you sort of think, well, I'm going to be pretty well stuck on my own. And it may well be at that time that you particularly miss somebody who's been in your life. I mean, for example, I can say that I used to enjoy the winter months with my husband because he was very keen on rugby, and I became very keen on rugby, and we'd sort of cuddle up on the sofa and watch a lot of rugby. And it doesn't have quite the same attraction for me alone. So I'm sure lots of you have got things like that feel perhaps a bit more bleak at this time of year, and the sun is going to shine less, and soon it'll be dark at 4. I mean, it's getting pretty dark early now anyway. Um, so let's look at grief, because grief can go on for years. Somebody on Twitter the other day actually said, I didn't know her at all. She said, oh, a lot of things have happened in my family, and I've lost a couple of people. I don't know if it was COVID related or anything. And she said, people are saying, well, it's a while now, you need to get over it. And fortunately, she was getting a lot of support. And I actually tweeted back to her and said, well, it takes as long as it takes. And often, perhaps, if you have been bereaved at some point with a partner, I mean, heaven forbid if it should be with a child, or I mean, sometimes if you've been very close to your parents, this is a very deep loss that you take a long time to get over. You might think, oh, well, I feel more miserable now than I did a year ago, and it worries you. And I think it can come in waves like that, and I think one has to simply think, well, that is normal. Maybe an anniversary, a lengthy anniversary, 4 years even, something like that might trigger something. Maybe somebody else getting ill, perhaps in the family, can trigger something. All sorts of things can trigger a sense of loss. And when it comes out of the blue and it's not a sort of like a recent loss, I think it can feel very weighty. I heard somebody say the other day that she felt as though her head was exceptionally heavy on her body. So she was plainly feeling, oh, the weight of something, and it appeared to be loss and grief, and it was a very horrible feeling, and she was getting aches and pains everywhere, and it was clearly taking its toll on her. So I wanted to talk about that and say, well, if this is happening to you, particularly at this time of year, what can you do? Well, the first thing I think is, when you do feel a sense of loss and grief, is you need to find a sense of purpose. And sometimes you're not feeling very energetic or purposeful, but you did have a sense of purpose, obviously, with the person that you've lost, and sometimes you just have to work hard at replacing that. So you need to feel useful in some way, and often you feel very much better about yourself and about the fact that you are on your own, or you may not be on your own, you may have family, but that you are without somebody who matters to you deeply. I think you feel better if you're doing things for other people, and if you can just find one thing that's really truly altruistic and be involved in volunteering or doing something for somebody else, I think you will feel a degree of relief because of that. At the same time, I don't want to say that you've got to be doing stuff all the time, because a lot of us, I think, solve our feelings of grief by just being extra busy and, just getting into everything and taking up lots of new stuff. And that can be too much of a good thing, actually. And sometimes you need to be quiet, you need to reflect, you need to be able to own up to the fact that you miss somebody very, very much indeed. And I think you need to own that. It might help in that case to keep some sort of journal, diary while this is going on, and just see if that helps you. I also think it's a very good idea to maybe think of two people that you would help if they were in trouble. Somebody, one or two people who have been through something similar, who are going to be sympathetic to what you feel like. And even if you're the sort of person that doesn't normally seek help, maybe just say to somebody, I'm really struggling at the moment, can I talk to you about it? And for most of us, when we do that, we do get a sense of something rolling away. And if you feel that you might be a nuisance, just ask yourself, would I do the same for this person? And I think you'll probably find that you very definitely would. So finally, I wanted to say, because of all of this, I've decided to focus on it a bit in my own coaching practice, and I've decided to do a sort of a special rate for people for 2 sessions who are feeling low and weighed down by grief at this time of year. There'll be details on my website if anybody is at all interested in that. But be that as it may, what I would just like to say is this too will pass. You won't get over the person, and why would you? But you will find that you're dealing with it better again. It sometimes does come in waves, it sometimes catches you out, but hang on in there, and I'm sure that you'll feel better before long, and I hope this has helped you to some degree. Bye bye.